first came here, I was often, as a newcomer in a position like this would be, invited to, receptions and different kinds of things as people were trying to get to know me. And invariably on those occasions when I was there, people would say to the new city manager, what do you think of Austin, they would say. And I mean, you kind of look at Austin as a newcomer. I mean, there's lots of good stuff to talk about. I mean, the good stuff is pretty visible, and the climate's nice here, and back when I arrived, there were lots of cranes in the air, and so on. I mean, it looked very, very vibrant, thriving community, and those are the kinds of things that I would say back. I said, love Austin, it's great, I'm glad to be here, which was true. But as time passed, and I began to learn more, and I recall early on in my tenure here being at a council meeting, and I think it was during it had to do with the matter we were talking about a mobile home park for the homeless, and someone in the community got up and he started talking about that, or opposed to it, and in the course of talking about that, alluded to, and you all have heard about this, some consulting report that was done many, many years ago that, amongst everything else in the report, raised a question about, how to deal with the Negro population here in Austin. And the conclusion was, of course, many, many years ago, back in 1920s, mid-1920s, whatever the date was, 28 or 27, was to relegate the Negro population to a certain part of town, and suggested certain kinds of methods in order to cause that to happen. I would call them coercive methods to cause that to happen. But I remember sitting up there at the dais during this council meeting, listening to that, and I was completely outdone by it. So much so, I leaned over to Mayor One and I said, "Is he for real?" And the mayor looked back at me and said, "Yeah, it's true." And I remember calling my assistant over and I said, "Look, go find out who that is and get me a copy of that report." Well, I got the report and I read it, and I'll be darned if that wasn't in there. Astounded. And so, as time went by, and as I learned more, and certainly learned more about the East Side, as I was invited to things, again, as a relatively new city manager, people would invariably ask that question. And I would begin my response by talking about all of the obvious, wonderful things that are here in Austin. And then I would say, but I find an interesting dichotomy here in Austin. I said, we take great pride in patting ourselves on our backs, our collective backs, about a heightened level of sophisticated sensibilities that we have here about all sorts of things, right? We do that, whether it's, being environmentalists and conserving energy and being health, all of those kinds of things that we're proud of, being green, all of those kinds of things. And yet I find, when I think about the course of my career over 27 years, I find that I observe here probably the hardest demographic line that I've seen in my career.
Yes.
Only partly affected by the construction, I suspect, of I-35. And so that became part of what I said as well. And what do you think happened when I said that? What happened when I said that was that I saw the expression on people's faces change. And in some instances, they found very polite ways to do what? To change the subject, because they don't want to talk about it. The fact of the matter is, when you put it all here, the disparity, the great divide, the other Austin is conspicuous, and everybody knows it. Everybody absolutely knows it, and there are a lot of people that don't want to talk about it. I read something during the course of Black History Month, I believe it was Dr. King who said it. He said, "This generation shall have to repent, not only for the evil, for the evil words of bad people, but for the appalling silence of good people." We are all good people in this room, and there are lots of other good people in this room, and we should not be silent. restaurants who were talking about me and what they were about to do, and you know, and sitting and you know, and just trying to come to terms with how I was feeling at that moment. And when they finished talking, you know, they invited me up to the mic to speak. You know, and you know, I just like now, you know, I don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about it because I have to feel it and then I say it, right? And so when I got up there, you know, I talked about, you know, feeling like, you know, out of all of these years I've been in this business, I feel like I'm in the right place at the right time with the right people, working on the right things. And even then, I wasn't sure that I fully understood it, but time has passed. And while I don't fully understand all of the reasons why, I have to believe that what I just talked about is one of them. To not be silent about that issue. So you should